Hello everybody, welcome to the eclipse number 3. I'm sure you're feeling the huge effects that June had on everybody. In a weird way though, right? Like we came out of this extreme shock and fear and being sort of frozen in our tracks, March and April. We slowly started to peel back the curtain and open a few things and negotiate. Okay, life's gonna look different now. And then June, you know, a lot of mayhem in a way, like a lot of awakening of wounds that have been there forever, like the Black Lives Matter. It's not like that's new, but for whatever reason we were primed and we were ready to hear it. And you know, speaking to people who are on the ground, like living in different cities instead of what we get on the news, I've been told that there's been peaceful protests in New York City every day for 30 days. There's also been protests every day, as far as I know, in Seattle. I'm sure there's still being a vigil held at for George Floyd. There's lots of stuff still going on, and I'm really happy to see actually a lot of people speaking out that maybe didn't before, because I'm finding I'm learning some things that I had no idea were considered microaggression, I think somebody called it. I really, you know, it's embarrassing to say when you're the one with the privilege. So I'm learning and I'm opening my heart again to things that I didn't expect, and I'm doing a lot more inner healing, but I'm also very, very tired. Mentally just tired, weary, battle weary, adrenalized, or crisis weary, or whatever we're in. Pretty normal. I'm pretty sure a lot of people are feeling it. Everyone copes with it differently, but I'm sure I'm speaking a lot to empaths and sensitive people when you're coming for tarot reading videos. We all need to learn to center ourselves again. And if you have, well, you still need to do more. Because January 2020 kicked off this constellation of a stellium of cluster planets in Capricorn, and it's a challenge to our system. It's a challenge to the structures that be, governments, corporations, authority, power versus freedom, oppression, banking, you name it. It's our system as we know it is in challenge. And this eclipse coming up is like sort of the pinnacle or the end point astrologically. It won't be the end of the transition. It's just that I'm expecting another event on the world stage. I'm expecting something to be quite stirred up for everyone personally, because now, on top of Saturn, which retrograded back to Capricorn again, conjunct Pluto, which is what was happening in January, Jupiter, also still in Capricorn, retrograde. Now our full moon joins it, and the full moon is an eclipse. So we're talking about another event that could be parallel to January. So think back in your life. You know, we certainly had a different idea what our world was looking like in January than we did by the end of March. But think back to January 13th. What was going on around your life? What was going on that you recall on the world stage? And it gets revisited. So I've been tuning in, and I don't get any specific kind of event, but I have been feeling something that will mark us again, another bigger story type of thing that'll happen. I'm mainly focused on North America. I can't possibly focus on the whole globe at once, so I focus on North America where I am. And so I'm expecting something, another type of uprising energy in the US. Now, it doesn't mean it's bad, because our, life as we know it has changed. And I think we're heading for the next few years of society restructuring. Also, as I've mentioned in previous videos or my newsletter, Uranus is in Taurus. It started last year. It's a 7-year cycle, and that's another one where it's a planet that does not like being in that sign. It disrupts our sense of stability, and again, our work routines, our financial routines. We're literally seeing destruction of an old world, but we're also seeing, and we're co-creating a new one. And that's the most positive way to look at this time. Instead of resisting and trying to hold on to what it was, you're far better especially if you're very sensitive, you're far better to step back and accept. We're in a brave new world now. We're in something new. We have the opportunity to actually make some big changes we've been wanting to make that weren't maybe ready or working within the old system. Now, the whole chessboard in the world is moving. Every puzzle piece is moving. We have no idea whether that puzzle is moving from a square to a circle or a 3D puzzle, but everything is in flux, and when everything and everyone are in flux, it's rapid change, and it's very tiring, So, first of all, before I get into any of the tarot for this eclipse or the astrology, I want to just say, whatever you do for yourself that helps you stay grounded and helps you detach from things that, not burying your head in the sand, but just not taking it on so viscerally, so personally, what's going on, the better you're going to be in a position to adapt your life. And you'll see that other new things and new people come into your life, and other things that don't work or jive so well leave your life. And that can be pretty hard emotionally sometimes to accept. But this is the time we're in. It's like you're in a revolving door, and there's people come and people go, and there's things that you thought were something and then they're not, or you've outgrown it. And maybe some of those energies were very subtle and you felt very secure and stable with it and you were all right with it. But for whatever reason now, so much change is happening for everyone. It's forcing us to go inward and stay more centered. You're probably finding you're more honest with your true feelings. And so it's more obvious what you want to change. And try to look at this time as an opportunity to make really momentous changes over time. But the world is rewriting itself. So you're also allowed to rewrite your life too. Okay, I'm going to burn my sage. We're going to look at 3 cards for this eclipse, and then I'm going to do individual predictions for every sign, as I said I would, since we're in this eclipse season. If you have sage or incense, you might want to go get it and burn it as you listen, or do it after, but cleansing is always a good idea. And if you don't really sense much that happens with it yet, just keep working with it. It's doing something. It's subtle, and eventually you will feel it when you burn it. Lovely, lovely, lovely. All right, I'm going to burn it with the cards. Any object you have that feels old or stagnant, or you're not sure if you want to keep it or not, you can do this with your clothes as well, your jewelry. Just freshen it up, just smudge it. So when I pull these cards, I'm pulling them for the eclipse period, so that means between the full moon and the next new moon, which is 2 weeks later. So July 5th, right, pretty much at midnight, it's like the eclipse is going to be 44 minutes after midnight on July 5th. So then we're looking at 2 weeks after that. So just focus on, this is your message for the next 2 weeks, okay? All right, so our first card, it's the same one as the tarot of the month. So, well, I'm doing, the eclipse is falling at the beginning of the month, and the cards, I swear to God, you saw how much I shuffled and smudged, and same card. So the Eight of Cups is feeling isolated and lonely and feels like it's not connected to the whole or to a group or to even the planet or humanity. It's feeling lonely, abandoned, hopeless a lot of the time. The exhaustion and the level of fear and stress right now can also bring on those feelings. Sometimes you're depressed because you're clinically depressed, you know, or your worldview is like this from childhood trauma or from recent experiences that you had a hard time. But sometimes that level of feeling abandoned and depressed and tired comes from an empath who's burnt out, from being way too tired, and it's like you have a mental or emotional crash, which means if you can identify which one you are, then if you're not normally feeling that way but it's arising, just first take a look at, first basically, have I had enough water? Have I had a good meal? Have I had my coffee? Did I sleep well the last few days? Could this be physiological? So that you don't start associating these, you know, sad or dark thoughts with anything that it doesn't need to be. You might just need to revive your energy on a physical level. If you're not normally like this, you have been taking good care, you're well hydrated, rested, you still feel like this, could be bringing up something old that you might want to take a look and ask yourself, when's the last time I felt like that? You know, you could be grieving something that's from a long time ago, and it's just, for whatever reason, you're ready and that energy wants to leave your body or your aura, and sometimes you just have to sit back, remember it for an hour or two, and you might need to have a good cry, and then it's done. Then you feel very light, like there's closure. And if it's a more chronic thing, because Saturn and Pisces on this card might mean that it's part of your life lesson to really work on that feeling that you're separate from everybody, or that you don't belong in your family, your community, or on the planet. If it's a chronic state, then you'll want to look at where that started and what you could do to increase this feeling that we are all connected, that we are all one, because that is the life lesson of Saturn and Pisces. Our next card is the Nine of Swords. So yeah, I mean, this eclipse has some difficult planetary energy, and as I mentioned, on a global stage, I'm expecting something to pop up. I mean, there's news every day, so how do we qualify that? I mean, the horrible death of George Floyd would be an event. Hopefully we will not see another thing of that nature. It could be anything, but this means that the card says cruelty. Mars in Gemini is a total two-face. It's a slithery snake, it's charming, and it can sell you anything that you don't need. It's very persuasive. It's also got a double life. It's lying, it's not telling you the truth, or it's verbally or mentally gaslighting you or abusing you, this card. There's no way to make this nice, this card. So we want to be careful of that when we're watching the news or listening to different sources. If you get a weird feeling that you're being sold up the river, or that you're being given something that sounds too shiny or too extreme or too scary, just really be very discerning what you absorb and believe. Go with your gut. If something doesn't feel real, or it doesn't strike you as you know, when something is true, even if it's not easy, we often react by feeling calmer and a little more grounded or in your body. So let's say somebody tells you a difficult truth about yourself. If you actually recognize that it is true, you might feel sad, but you also will be able to recognize, okay, there's something true about that. It's the same with other things that are happening around us. If they sound too hype, they are. If they sound too good to be true, they are. If they sound very extremely negative or they make your heart race, question it, question it. Usually truthfulness, or when people are coming from a true place, it doesn't give us that kind of fight or flight reaction. The only thing that's true that would give you fight or flight is if you're being chased by a bear. Okay, so we're just on a global level, on a, you know, news level, whatever, we're watching out for, ooh, there, get some light. We're watching for signs of gaslighting. Now, on a personal level, of course, you're going to relate to this. If there's anyone in your life who is verbally, mentally, passive-aggressively, narcissistically abusive to you, toxic, if anyone feels like they're hiding, this card can often come up with affairs and cheating, hiding finances from your partner, all kinds of stuff. Now, if it's not actively going on right now, don't get alarmed. It might be asking you to process an old wounds, again, that are related to a feeling of being betrayed or abused. Okay. Third card is the Knight, or the Prince of Discs. This is the Thoth deck, and Aleister Crowley, who designed the deck, did not like this guy. Considered him to be sluggish, not terribly bright, lazy, self-indulgent. You can see that he's riding his chariot, and his bull is doing all the work. He's holding a world in his hands. But as you can see, he's sitting there naked, and he's sort of sitting halfway, and he's holding things. He looks like he's been given or granted all this power, but he's not respecting it, or he's not upholding it with dignity. Gee, I wonder who we're referring to now. Could be a few of our world leaders matching this. So if it's on the global stage, I think we know a number of leaders who match that profile, and if it is your personal life, then this could be who it's talking about. This could either be the person that you feel is cruel or abusive. This could be the person that you remember from, you know, an ex, or even your brother. This could, or, you know, a former neighbor, co-worker, somebody with that kind of personality. So that this is usually like an indulgent guy. Like, he wants everything for nothing. He doesn't follow through with jobs. He lets other people finish them. He spends his time, you know, buying his, like, toys or whatever, his things to show off, but he's not actually doing the hard work himself. So this is who you might be feeling let down or betrayed by, either currently or in the past. I'm going to keep going and pull more cards for this eclipse, because that's the nasty side. Let's ask the cards, what is the positive that's going to come out of this eclipse for everybody? Because there's always positive, even in that situation, if you are ready to walk away from it, if you get closure on it, if you know now, wow, that was never my fault. That's a good thing. But I want to see, is there anything positive coming out of this eclipse period? So the first card again is High Priestess. And the light shines on the card. It makes me look like Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer here. Sorry. It's like, there's my nose. Yep. Okay. Alrighty, so the High Priestess is a good card. Divine feminine energy. Feeling very connected to yourself, your higher self, your spirit guides, your dreams. Your intuition could be extremely strong during this eclipse if you allow it. It could put you in states of trance or channeling if you are into that or you meditate. So that's a very nice message of a transcendent possibilities to have a more transcendent state of mind, or to tap into that divine feminine energy where you just know. You don't need your proof. You just know. The Five of Cups. So we can't really avoid that there's some emotional disappointment about whatever you're walking away or letting go of in your life. Whatever you realize during the eclipse is no longer working for you. You'll have to walk away. Take some time out. Rethink it. All is not lost. You know? All is not lost, but it might need to be reworked. So you're looking at sort of negotiating or maybe different boundaries with people, or you might be looking at walking away. And then finally, the Queen of Wands. We come into this fiery energy at the end of the month, which I had said also in the tarot of the month. There's a transformation into action. Fire is a big part of the astrology, part of this reading as well, which you'll see in a second. This lady is strong and she has taken charge. This month is all about clearing what ain't working and taking charge back of your life. So if you haven't been taking action on your goals, you're going to find a way to clear whatever is feeling like it's standing in the way of it and start doing it. And that can happen on any front. There's a clearing, there's a burning, there's a purifying of anything toxic. And so first you have to really honor the High Priestess and let yourself feel it and see it. Because if you just say, oh, maybe it's not, oh, maybe it's because, you're missing it. You're missing it. You have to let yourself receive what you're feeling and say, could that be true? Could that be true? And then you have to sit with yourself. No, I think it is true. I think I do need to do something here. Get honest with yourself. And then you're going to kick into action with this fire mode, with this Queen of Wands. No freaking stopping her. Okay? Now we're going to look at the astrology. So I cast the astrology chart for this eclipse based on Eastern Standard Time, based on New York City, just as a reference point for North America. So the eclipse is happening at midnight and 44 minutes, July 5th, so in the middle of the night, sort of. And as with any full moon, the sun and the moon are opposite, and that means that it heightens our emotions. There's a polarization that you're shown. There's extremes that you're shown. And it awakens and rouses your emotions. However, interestingly, the sun is in Cancer, which is all about emotions, and so is Mercury. But the full moon is in Capricorn, which is usually considered a sort of a cold place for the moon. The moon in Capricorn doesn't like to admit that it's vulnerable. It will try to take control of things instead. So, like a Cancer moon will cry at kittens on a commercial. A Capricorn moon, if they feel slight vulnerability, will refuse to feel vulnerable and will step back and take charge of something or try to micromanage it or control it in some way, because they hate to feel vulnerable. So you might be dealing with somebody who's like this. You might be dealing with someone who's hair trigger sensitive, crying, or you might be dealing with the power dynamic that can come from one person being emotional and one person refusing to feel things. You know, sometimes a moon in Capricorn, especially when you've got Jupiter, Pluto, and Saturn there, sometimes it could just stonewall you. If I were dealing with somebody in real life, born with those planets, which means babies born this year, by the way, they're going to have an incredible ability to achieve. They're going to be very ambitious. They're going to want a lot of things their way. They're going to climb to the top. But they might also learn how to mask and wall off their feelings, kick into workaholic mode, and they might step over people to get to where they want to go, because Capricorn can be ruthless. And sometimes we need to be ruthless, okay? There's situations where that trait is definitely called for. But that could be one theme that comes up, is like the feeler versus the stonewaller. The other thing with an eclipse, regardless of the signs, is that things are in place and you know where they are, and then all of a sudden, where did it go? Something disappeared, and then it comes back. Something is shown to you, something is hidden and comes back. It brings a surprise, okay? It brings something, so whatever comes to light or comes to your mind during this time that you feel you might need to change, it might come. I guess I'm creating an eclipse here, opening my damn curtains. You see, like the light just came back on my face. But yes, there's going to be something that comes to light that could be surprising to you. Sometimes one little thing, one little interaction with somebody can show you their true face, or show you that you've outgrown them, or show you, I really care about this person, I want to be closer, I'm ready to commit myself. It's Cancer and Capricorn both are able to make commitments. So I would say this moon, this eclipse has the power to either separate or bring people a lot closer, and it's maybe going to be a bit surprising who those people are. We still have Venus in Gemini. It's not retrograde, but she's still in Gemini. So you still have this sort of multiple flirty social energy, chameleon-like energy going on with Venus. People want to meet people, or they want to get social. They've been cooped up too long. But Venus in Gemini is not great, not known for being great at commitments either. So you just, you want to focus on that down-to-earth side if you're looking for something more solid, and if you just want to be playful, well, that's in the air. We have Mars in Aries, and when we look at the chart for this eclipse, Aries is the rising sign of this eclipse, and that sort of also is why I'm seeing that there will be potentially another newsworthy event, another thing with an uprising energy. And especially since Mars is also in Aries, which is a warrior Mars, and it is in the 12th house, which means a lot of pent-up anger and aggression. The 12th house could manifest that because it's been holding it in so long, and there's a burst, or it could repress it. And repressing that level of, if you think of a warrior that you can think of in your mind from a movie or from history, and you shove him in a dark room and you say, yeah, we'll see you later, we're not listening. That's sort of what a 12th house Mars would feel like. What do you expect that guy to do in the closet or in the dark room? Think he's going to sit there and go, oh, it's so nice and peaceful, I'm glad I don't have to fight a battle? Or do you think he's going to go apeshit with restlessness, or try to punch a wall, or try to break his way out of there? It's really hard to say with a 12th house Mars whether somebody explodes or somebody represses. And repression can also be problematic with health issues too. And I'm not talking about COVID. I'm talking about, blood pressure, stuff like that. All right, so Mars and Aries, that warrior energy is there. So we'll just have to see where that plays out. The thing that I find a little worrisome about this Mars as well is that it's conjunct Chiron, also in Aries. And Chiron is like the wounded healer. So Chiron in Aries is saying that there's a wound of the self. And that usually means, people born with it, it usually means that you've self-sacrificed too much. You don't put yourself first. You don't take care of yourself. And so when you've got Mars activating a wound that says, hey, it's never about me. And then the warrior comes along and says, what? It's never about you? Do it then. It's about you now. And then you might just suddenly, oh my God, you're energized because you're never given permission to feel this stuff or say this stuff. It's another aspect that could make people shut down even further and repress, or it could make people volatile. I personally, this is just me, I'm a Cancer and I'm an empath, so I don't generally love crowds anyway, but I would personally, with these planets, stay away from large crowded events. Well, there aren't many large crowded events, but I would stay out of crowds during this eclipse if it were me. We also have that Mars and Chiron energy I just mentioned squaring off with the Sun, Mercury, and the Moon. And that's where it gets volatile. That's where you get this very strong energy of, I need this. Oh yeah, well, I need that. Yeah, well, but what about me? Yeah, no, but what about me? And you get a lot of pain involved in it because Mars and Chiron are in Aries that want to fight. Mercury and the Sun are in Cancer that want to nurture, that want to feel, that want to cry if they need to, that want to hug. And then Moon is in Capricorn, like I said. They could just stonewall you. So we have to be very careful how we react to people if we don't want to escalate things, because we have to assume that people are going to be heightened in their emotions, including us. So unless you want to lay low, just be a little extra conscious and allow people a little patience with their reactions, because the potential to escalate is high. One last aspect that we could consider a little bit difficult, and then I'll move into the positive ones to focus on, okay? The Sun is opposite the Moon, as we said, but the Moon is also conjunct Pluto. So now we're adding the rebel, the death and rebirth, the tear it apart and build a new one, the force to be reckoned with planet onto the Moon. So that is where I'm saying I expect another event. Because when you have people willing to rise up and fight, sensitive and saying, hey, I'm not getting what I need, and they meet Pluto, Moon, Saturn in Capricorn that says, that's nice. What? Were you saying something? I have my own agenda, thanks. We could see some clashing in that, right? Now, I'm talking about it as if it's playing out on the news, but this can also be playing out in our own lives, or it could be re-triggering stuff that has happened to us in our own lives. So the way to use this energy is, first of all, try not to escalate things with others or for yourself. Try to get in touch with areas of your life where you feel disempowered or you feel you're not being heard, your needs are not being met. Try to be to sort of sit calmly and ask yourself, well, again, be honest. Is it likely I will get my needs met in this place, with that person, in this job? How can I meet my own needs? How can I empower myself? Or some people are going to say they're ready to take on the fight because that's the fight that they feel that they were called to do. But don't just react. Don't just react and explode. It's like you're barfing all over the room for no reason. Sorry for my analogy, but that's what it's like. Anger and rebellious energy that is unfocused and doesn't know why it's doing it, it's like throwing up all over the room. It doesn't accomplish anything for you or anyone else. Anger that is targeted and says, no, I think the justice is at stake here. I know why I'm marching. I know why I'm allowing that argument to happen with Karen in the grocery store about a mask. If you're clear why you're taking that on, because it's what's your values, it's what you stand for, and you think it's worth it, well, you might decide to do it. But if you're just walking into a store like a Karen, she's not effective, is she? She just upsets everyone and nothing gets accomplished. So the good sides of the planets to focus on are this. We have Neptune, our nice planet of dreams, creativity, poetry, music, meditation, we are one, and sometimes illusions, but I'm going to say the positives of Neptune because it's making a very nice aspect to the sun. If you focus on your watery side, if you focus on your spiritual growth in a more calm and private way, if you focus on your art, if you focus on anything where you're expressing yourself or where you're taking yourself back into a state where you find something beautiful or inspires you, or you want to create or talk to people in a way that inspires you, that will be wonderful. It could also bring you heightened states of insight in meditation, or it could help you if you're trying to develop your intuition, your clairvoyance, your transcendental meditation. I mean, that's a great energy for this. I would highly recommend that, of course. I've been getting the message loud and clear 2 or 3 times a day to meditate more and to spend more time in nature. And it's really doing wonders to keep me centered in the midst of the reactivity. The other lovely aspect is Venus in Gemini, as we said. It's also making a very nice aspect to Saturn. And so that means that you might feel that you are able to manifest something that you want. You might feel ready. As I said, commitment keeps coming to me during this reading. It could be lovely for those of you who feel I'm ready to commit to, a partner. I'm ready to commit and be closer to my family. I'm ready to commit more to my children's growth. I'm ready to commit more to my the book I want to write, the class I want to take. I'm more committed to supporting my next door neighbor who needs some help. So that's the lovely side. Venus and Gemini will connect you and have wonderful discussions and talks. And then Saturn is supporting it, so it might help you actually ground that in reality and make something nice happen out of it, commit to something, implement something. This would be the best way to use this time and this next 2 weeks energy. And we also have Neptune in a sextile, which is, it's not like, it's positive, but it's not sort of where it's just flowing automatically without trying. But it's a nice energy to work with, and it's it's sextiling Jupiter. So again, like expanding on your inspirational side, your creative side, your intuitive side. And then we have Uranus, which is also sextile the Sun. So there's this feeling with Uranus and the Sun sort of working on the same team. Again, like more subtle, but there's like a feeling of, yeah, I can make this happen if I want to. You know, I can stir things up. I can make a few changes. You know, I feel secure enough to start playing a little bit with this, you know, these parts of my life that usually are like, they're stuck in a box, and now like maybe I want to do something new, and there's support for that. But do you notice how different the energy is if I focus on that? It's all about the way you see change happening. If you think change happens by force and uprising and protest, there's, you know, there's very real change in that, and it's a catalyst for bigger change. But there's also ways that change happens in a subtle way, in a quiet way. It doesn't always have to have a protest or a confrontation to have a real change. So I'm going to leave you with that thought before we pull cards for the signs. How do you think true change happens? There's another really nice aspect of the of astrology that I don't often bring in, but I might do it more and more because I really like it. They are called the Sabian symbols. There is a symbol or an allegory or a story for every degree in the zodiac. So if you know your chart and you know the degree of the sun when you're born, you can look up the Sabian symbol and it will give you a metaphor that you might find pretty profound for your life. And often we use these symbols predictively. So I looked up the Sabian symbol for the degree of the moon, since the moon is full and being eclipsed. And 13 degrees Capricorn is the fire worshiper. Now just think how apropos and beautiful that is compared to the reading I just gave. Fire worshiper. Fire is sacred. Fire makes things happen. And fire can also burn out of control, right? So it's a beautiful metaphor. And a worshiper is going to respect that fire. It knows what that fire is capable of. So I love that. It also stands for magic. Also, a fire is a focal point. It's a center. Think of everybody gathering around a fire. It's like the center of the wheel, and the people are the wheel. And it burns in the middle, and it keeps everybody warm. Think about that as a metaphor as well in your life. How can you light your fire so things are happening, but in a way that brings people around and keeps everyone warm? Lovely, isn't it? Okay, we are going to now pull an animal, archangel animal card for your sign. All right, are you ready? So I'm going to show you the deck. I'm going to be pulling a card, one animal for each sign as your message or your guidepost for the next 2 weeks with this eclipse. So here we go, Aries. All right, Aries, your card, isn't that gorgeous, is a rhinoceros. Be strong and courageous. How Aries can you get? So Aries, if you find yourself feeling angry or reactive or restless, I want you to try to reflect on, how can I use this fire I'm feeling to do something strong and courageous instead of reactive and restless? Rhinos are so bloody powerful, right? Nobody would want to encounter a rhino in real life. Like, they'll eat you for lunch. And so sometimes we have to recognize that our power even though we might feel vulnerable ourselves and we're reacting out of vulnerability, but sometimes we actually might come across as intimidating or overbearing to someone else. So the rhino, you know, it's not going to charge unless it's threatened. Okay? So whatever's bothering you this eclipse period, it's next 2 weeks, ask yourself, you know, do I really need to charge somebody? You know, is it time? Am I being attacked for real? Is there a real threat? Or could I use that power I have and walk more slowly and gracefully and do the strong or bold or courageous thing? All right, I like that. Let's look at Taurus. Taurus is the parrot. Huh. I bet you not many Tauruses would enjoy the parrot for some reason. They might love the beauty and they like them if they're talking, but they probably sure wouldn't like it if they repeated everything they said. So it's an interesting metaphor, and it says to listen intently, to understand. So literally parroting. Are you, when you talk to someone that you care about, are you just parroting back what they said, or have you really thought about it? Are you really listening in a way that you want to understand them, or are you listening in order to just respond? So many people do that, right? You're telling them something and you can feel that they're going, but they're over here thinking, what am I going to say next? And then they'll parrot back to you, oh, so you said that, eh? Oh, so that? And then the other person telling you is feeling like, did you hear what I said? Really? Did you get it? So we don't want to parrot. We want to really listen to understand. So you might be called upon, you know, to override your emotions and really listen. And make sure that others are really listening to you as well. It's not one-sided. If you feel parroted to, then say something, you know, so that you're both achieving some understanding. Very interesting. I love these animal cards. All right, Gemini. The kingfisher. Beautiful bird. So this is advising you to be patient and focused. What did we say about the fire? So I'm assuming because there's a fish below that the kingfisher must fish. I haven't researched the bird. But there's a patience, and then there's a time to go for it. Waiting for the right timing. So staying focused on what you want and being patient for what you want so that you know when it's the right time to speak or to strike or to move in and negotiate a deal or whatever it is, or ask for what you want. Patience and timing. Patience and timing. It's a beautiful, beautiful card, isn't it? If you want to look any of these up for further, you know, you can, what you do is type your animal or bird and then type totem, T-O-T-M, after it, and you'll start to see all kinds of stuff come up on Google. So kingfisher totem, if you want to see a much more detailed description. Because I don't like reading from the tarot books and stuff. I like to channel what I'm getting. Boy, I have to open and close these curtains constantly today. Well, this is very eclipse-like. My face is going from sun to dark to things floating in my face. And I don't care. It's not vanity. It's like I want you to be able to see as I'm talking to you. I want to be able to see as I'm talking to you. All right, I'm bringing the curtains back. Sorry about that. Is that better? Okay. Okay. So Cancer, let's look for you now. And look how pretty the cards are, even the back of them. Lovely. So Cancer, your card for this month is the Wolf. I love it. The Wolf. Be independent, but work together. Does that fit you, Cancer? Other thing with the Wolf, we kept bringing up in the reading commitment as a theme. Wolves are very committed. Wolf packs will choose, they'll have the alpha, and they will choose their mate. Not everybody gets to be with a partner. There's a couple that will be chosen that will stay together for life, that will propagate the young. They're very careful who they select to lead them. You know, they know how to preserve themselves. Again, you can think of a lone wolf. So we've already been in COVID spending so much time alone, but perhaps it's asking you to still accept that you are good being independent and you're good to be alone, which doesn't mean isolated. So to be cooperative, but to stay in yourself and be independent. And look at all of the light at the heart chakra of both of these wolves under the moon. It's gorgeous. So again, if this is a message for love, then it would be to not lose yourself in somebody. Make sure you don't lose who you are. Stay who you are and still commit to your partner. And that can include close friends as well. The wolf will always be all right to be alone and know how to take care of itself alone. So when they are with their pack or their mates, you know, there's that independence, and there's that it's like it gives me a feeling of like, ask for more integrity in your relationships. Yeah, ask for more integrity. All right, let's look at Leo now. Leo, here we go. We have a cow. And it says to ask for unconditional love and grace. Give unconditional love and grace. And you can also see how beautiful they are as a couple. And the light is shining on them. And even the horns of the bull seem to be wrapping around both of them, almost like a circular light. So this is a strong message for me about bonding with other people and how to do it. So again, bonding with love and grace. Accept people for who they are. Be classy. Be generous. It's not needy. It's showing the highest aspect of yourself and believing in the highest aspect of someone else. Just gorgeous image. And the archangels are Archangel Raphael and Mother Mary for these cards. So a very healing bond in your life, I'm sure, is either forming or it's more obvious to you now. Beautiful omen for this next eclipse period. All right, Virgo. And there is our bear. There's the bear. Okay. And it says, use power with wisdom. That definitely fits the astrology this month too, doesn't it? Look at how gorgeous he is, surrounded in light. And again, light around his heart chakra. The bear is not in a threatened position. He looks, he looks calm and pretty approachable there. But he's still extremely powerful, right? You don't want to screw with a bear. So have the same kind of respect for power that you would if you were in front of a bear. And if you're the bear and you're the one in a position of power or influence, or use it wisely. check that you're not dominating or overbearing or intimidating anybody. You know, the bear in nature can certainly do that. You know, if you're in its way or it feels threatened, or even if it just wants more space, it'll do that. So again, it goes hand in hand with these messages of power dynamics this month, and potential volatility in the air, approaching authority with the respect you would have if you were dealing with a bear. Otherwise, what the bear means as a totem is you need to hibernate and rest. Bears hibernate. It might mean that you're really burnt out. And it might mean that it's time for you to just take a book and sit by the river or under a tree for a few hours and not make yourself try to push too hard and go forward too hard. So that's another message for bear medicine that I know. Because the bear is one of my totems that came to me strongly for years when I was burnt out. So I learned a lot about him. Rest, 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 rest. Okay, Libra. Okie dokie. This is so interesting. Libra, your totem card for this next 2 weeks is the bat. And it says to see through illusion into truth. Sorry, couldn't read backwards. See through illusion into truth. So you can see the bats all approaching the light and being illuminated. Bats are normally right in the dark. And so they're all approaching the light here. And the ground below, where it's all red, it's very interesting too. The bats are flying above it. You need to detach yourself and see the big picture. And again, it's this whole theme of being honest with yourself. It's also interesting too how I've been saying a lot about trusting your gut with gaslighting, or with, you know, any deception from the past, any way that you've been skewed by other people's opinions and maybe it's not the truth, news that you've picked up or whatever. Step back, be a little more scrutinizing. It's also interesting to me that, you know, we're blaming a bat for the start of COVID, and this is all about, the bat is literally meaning to see through illusions. Huh. So Libra, allow yourself to see what's actually there. All right, Scorpio. That's cool. The giraffe. So it says aspiring to higher knowledge and wisdom. So again, the giraffe is walking, you know, his head is above everything else, above everyone else. He can already see a bigger picture or a different perspective than anybody else, which is also very Scorpio. So again, we have this beautiful giraffe surrounded in light, and his head is above the trees. And so he also gives me a feeling, or she, that the eyes look very wise. They look very, I'll hold it closer. The eyes look very compassionate to me. So it's also sort of saying like higher knowledge doesn't necessarily mean finding a truer, higher source of you know, let's say in the news, someone who's more expert than the expert kind of thing. I don't think it's saying that. I think the higher knowledge it's saying is speaking more spiritually. Because there's so much compassion in the eyes there, I would say it would be more like, for one perspective, to find more of a detached, almost maybe more Buddhist outlook, a more possibly religious or Christian outlook. I'm not mentioning other religions because I'm not as familiar with them, but something of that nature where you're looking at life through the lens of your faith, and through compassion for all and tolerance for people and patience for why people act the way they do, or understanding we're all human. Something like that would be the higher truth or higher knowledge. All right, Sagittarius. You have the dove. How beautiful is that? So again, we have two of them. Lovey-dovey. Again, there's light at their heart chakras. I love that. Look at all the beautiful pink and gold. This is definitely love, a loving feeling card. Try to show you more. Yeah, there we go. And it's basically saying to spread messages of hope and harmony. So that would just be a message of like, check twice with yourself before you speak. Am I spreading love and peace with what I'm bringing up and debating or shedding light on? Am I able to say what I need in a way that brings peace or calm to the matter, instead of, again, escalating reactivity, which is just in the cards for all of us during this eclipse? So consciously spread messages more of peace and harmony. And you'll inspire people, because you already do. And it might even bring you some of the love or connection you're looking for. All right, Capricorn. Ooh. Wow, that's a deep message for you, Capricorn. I shouldn't have expected any less, since it's the eclipse in your sign. The Whale. Look how beautiful that card is. Just gorgeous. And through the spout, through the heart, all of these beautiful rays of light are coming out. And sort of like through the spout, light shoots upwards into a spiral above. Very deep. And it says to live as a fully conscious being. So don't deny any aspect of your full self. Don't suppress anything that's coming to you. Fully conscious being. Present for yourself, present for others around you. Don't wall yourself off if you feel vulnerable. Fully conscious means to allow every sensation to be. Allow your insights to be. And the whale is also, of course, the largest mammal on Earth. Also represents anything to do with the oceans, anything to do with motherhood as well. So if you want to look up more on the whale totem, you're going to find a lot. But I would get the sense from this card that if you're feeling courageous enough to feel everything going on with you and be conscious of your effect on others and their effect on you, that you're going to see some great movement in your life, because that spiral above the water and those lights down below means this whale is lighting up the ocean, and things are going to move. Things are going to happen for you. So I think you can use this in a very powerful way. Whew. Deep. All right, Aquarius. The badger. Interesting. We have two badgers. One looks like he's chewing on the other guy's head. Maybe he's kissing him or licking him or grooming him, but he could also just be like, because that's sort of what we associate with badger. And they've got the light behind them. We don't see the light in their heart chakras here like the other animals. It's behind them and it's sort of below them. And there's this little spiral there. And there's all these little ways that their paws are radiating light out over the globe almost. And this is basically a message saying to balance your life. Balance out your life. So Mother Mary is another one of the angels for the badger. So I haven't studied the badger enough to know, but I would tend to say that when it's saying to bring harmony to your life, take a look at areas where you're in conflict, or, you know, might feel like a bit of drama, a bit of nagging, you know, back and forth banter, criticism, anything where that could be settled down or resolved, so that you bring a little more harmony into your life. Like if you're living with constant ongoing frictions that don't get resolved, that would be one way. So that's a pretty powerful message for your eclipse too. And last but not least, we have Pisces. This is very Pisces card. I love that. So Pisces, your card is the deer. Look how beautiful that is. So you have the stag and the doe. They're both looking out in the same direction. Their heart chakras are illuminated fully. The antlers are illuminated. The stars are all around them. They're looking very much together. Beautiful. It's saying to trust in the support of the universe, and it is Archangel Michael. So Archangel Michael, if you want to pray to him to help remove anything in, on, and around you no longer for your highest good. Archangel Michael triumphs over evil or any dark energy. And I think this is going to be a very nice full moon for you, because you have some of the very nice planetary aspects we had, included Neptune in Pisces, which is you. So focus and let yourself be gentle, and let yourself be in that gentle, kind, sensitive, receptive mode, like a deer, quiet. And you probably don't want to get involved in much of the reactive energy out there anyway. So you might have a lovely time of some quiet, deep bonding with friends and family right now. Oh, it's a lovely way to leave the readings. All right, if any of you wants to reach me for your own private session, I'm going to be working online only. Unless you're one of my long-time customers, I will make an exception if you really need to see me in person. Otherwise, one of my changes of the eclipse is I've realized I actually prefer to work online. And I love working online, because then I get to read and meet people from all over the world this way. And I'm really enjoying that. So I wish you a wonderful eclipse season. And if you really want a personal reading, you can reach me at river.rain.info or on Facebook, Clairvoyant Medium Catherine Allen. Take care.